everyone, this is Kristen from the Queen Anne's County Library, and I'm bringing you today's take-home kit, which is beeswax wraps. So here's an example of a couple that I've done. This one you can tell I've obviously used and I've washed, and this one is a brand new one. You can tell by it doesn't have the wrinkles on it. So that's what our product is going to end up looking like. I put those aside, and let's see what's inside of our kits. So we should have 2 sheets of parchment paper. We have a bag of beeswax. We have a couple pieces of fabric. And then we also have, this is some pine resin, and this in the red lidded jar, and then this is the jojoba oil in the white lidded jar. So we're gonna just put these aside and extra sheet that. So what you're gonna wanna do to start is you will take, actually I should also mention that what you need at home is an iron, and you wanna make sure that the iron is empty of water, and then you wanna preheat it to the wool setting, which is of course the thing I did not do. So now that is heating up. And so you want to take your one sheet of your parchment paper and lay it out on your ironing board, and then put your fabric on top of it. This fabric has been pre-washed and ironed, though there may still be, as you can see, there's a little bit of crease there from where it was folded up in the kit. But otherwise it should be good to go. So you just want to put it out on your parchment paper. And then we're gonna take our beeswax and just spread it out. It doesn't need to be completely covered or anything. We're gonna start off with a light amount and see how that is. And if we need to add more, we can always do that. It's easier to add than to take away. You should have enough beeswax there for at least your 2 wraps, if not more. The fabric squares are 12 by 12 inches, so you can always cut your own fabric if you need to. If you want to make a different size, I would just use 100% cotton fabric. And there's also different methods of making this. We're going to do the iron method, but you can also cook it in your oven as well, and use a double boiler to melt everything first. This one is kind of quick and easy for the beginner. Okay, so I have that spread out. And then we're gonna take our pine resin, and you're gonna have to be careful because there's some larger chunks in it, but try to use just the smaller pieces. And this will cause your fingers to stick a little bit. That's the whole point of the pine resin, is to give the beeswax wrap a little bit of a cling to it. And if you find that you have too many larger chunks, you can always use an iron to, not an iron, a rolling pin to make them flatter. I did try to break them down as much as I could. So just spread that over your fabric and your beeswax. There's a chunk that I don't want. And just try to cover most of the areas. The stuff will spread because of the iron melting the beeswax. And then the last step is the jojoba oil, which I will give you a warning that this will stain your fabric a little bit, give it a little brownish color where it gets spotted. But just kind of drizzle it around. This gives it a little bit more pliability. But that was a big blob. Just try to drip it around a little bit. And this will also spread around when you iron, so. And you might find it easier if you can use either a paintbrush or some other thing just to splatter the jojoba oil around as well, if you don't want to just kind of drizzle it. And so once you have that all down, you just want to take your other piece of parchment paper and put it on top. And then take your iron and just start working melting your wax in. And You should just kind of notice it spreading around through the parchment paper. And so you can always tell where the wax is on your, if you look underneath. So then you'll know if you need to add some more, especially around the edges. There's a lot of times where you don't have enough wax. So just try to push it around. And also if you have too much wax on there, it'll come off towards one of the edges and then you'll be able to scrape it off a little bit there. Okay. Let me see what it looks like. So it looks like there is wax, enough wax around my edges. Let me just get that one corner a little bit more. Push down that way. See if that covered that little spot. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so after you have covered your entire piece of fabric in the wax, you want to let it set for a few minutes. So I'm just going to peel the top part of my parchment paper off and then let it, just put that aside because you can use that parchment paper again if you want to do the second piece of fabric at the same time. But I'm just going to let that sit for a few minutes before I take it off, just so it'll dry, harden, and then be ready for use. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. So I'm just going to take it off of the parchment paper and see how we did with it. Okay, so it looks like it's very well covered with the wax. It should be good to go. As far as maintenance with these go, you want to wash them with some cold water and soap after they've been used. Then they should be able to be reusable for a while. If you notice that some of the wax starts flecking off, you can just redo the process to them. You want to make sure you don't put them on raw meat because then they will be unusable after that. And if you use the warmth of your hands to kind of fold things around to make it stick a little bit better. So you just want to make sure too that you don't put it on anything too hot because it will melt the wax. So just avoid heat with these, okay? I hope you've enjoyed this project and enjoy creating some beeswax wraps of your own at home for use. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.